Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all evil spirits who wander through the world for the ruin of souls. Exorcisms are entirely real practices. Although perhaps sensationalized by modern pop culture, forms of exorcisms are documented ceremonies across multiple religions. The very nature of an exorcism is the battle against evil, and evil can supposedly take many forms: demons, devils, spiritual impurities, or simple temptations, to name but a few. However, the question stands that if exorcisms are as real as we are told they are, does that also mean evil spirits really roam amongst us? Can a demon actually take control of the innocent? Are there really devils amongst us? Some would argue the existence of this ancient practice means yes, evil spirits genuinely do inhabit Earth. Today, we follow several accounts of real documented exorcisms, and we ask ourselves, where is the line between fact and fiction? Welcome to Mysteries Retold. We start today's accounts of exorcisms with perhaps one of the most famous. The following account, the exorcism of Roland Doe, would go on to inspire elements in William Peter Blatty's 1971 novel, The Exorcist. During the late 1940s in the United States, some Roman Catholic priests carried out a series of exorcisms on a boy whose identity was kept secret, going by the aliases Roland Doe or Robbie Mannheim. This 14-year-old was said to be under the influence of some intense and aggressive demonic forces, and the whole ordeal was documented by the priest in charge, Raymond J. Bishop. Roland was born to a German family in 1935. Throughout the 1940s, they lived in Cottage City, Maryland. Roland was an only child, thus looked to the adults around him for companionship. He was especially close with his aunt. His aunt was a spiritualist, and her attitudes had influenced Roland. She had even introduced him to a Ouija board and showed him how to use it, as well as directing him on other spiritual matters. The family of Roland noticed peculiar occurrences in their home shortly after the passing of Roland's aunt. In January 1949, they began hearing unusual dripping sounds and scratching noises within the house. Initially, Roland's mother thought these sounds were somehow linked to the departed aunt. The family attempted to establish contact with the spirits in the house, hoping for a peaceful resolution, and requested to be left undisturbed. Unfortunately, these efforts seemed to exacerbate the situation. Roland reported hearing footsteps in his room at night while attempting to sleep, and in the morning, scratch marks were discovered on his mattress. Over time, these scratch marks also started appearing on his body. Further reports mention that furniture had also started to move on its own accord, and everyday items like vases were observed flying or levitating when the boy was in proximity. Seeking assistance, the family approached their Lutheran pastor, Luther Miles Schulze. Having a long-standing interest in parapsychology, Schulze arranged for the boy to spend a night at his home for observation. When parapsychologist Joseph Banks Rhine caught wind of Schulze's claim of witnessing objects moving on their own, he pondered whether Schulze might have unconsciously exaggerated certain details. Schulze recommended to the boy's parents that they consult with a Catholic priest. The family got in touch with the local minister, and eventually the family opted to convert to Catholicism, such was the growing aggressive nature of events. The family attempted to have Roland baptized, but the young boy resisted, responding with uncontrolled anger. Roland was later admitted to a hospital where a psychiatrist tried to provide treatment, but unfortunately it proved unsuccessful. Hoping a change of residence might put an end to the supernatural occurrences, the family relocated Roland to a different house, but the strange events persisted. Left with limited options, they sought the help of priests to conduct an exorcism. Father Raymond J. Bishop was among the priests called in for this purpose, and he later documented his experiences. Father William S. Bowden, another priest who joined in to assist the family, made efforts to shield Roland by performing blessings and placing a crucifix under the young boy's pillow. Upon returning after allowing Roland to rest, the family discovered overturned furniture, and the crucifix shifted to the bed's edge, with Roland's mattress shaking uncontrollably. Multiple exorcisms were conducted on Roland Doe by the priests. It is said during one of the first exorcisms, The boy allegedly slipped one of his hands out of the restraints, broke a bed spring from under the mattress, and used it as an impromptu weapon, slashing the priest's arm and resulting in the first exorcism ritual being halted. The first exorcism took place at Georgetown University Hospital, a Jesuit institution, while another occurred at the Alexian Brothers Hospital in South St. Louis, Missouri. Throughout these exorcisms, Roland experienced episodes of vomiting, urination, spitting, and speaking in Latin. He also adopted a deep, unfamiliar adult-sounding voice. Halloran also stated that during the exorcism words such as evil and hell, along with other various marks, appeared on the teenager's body. The final exorcism involved the collaboration of priests Walter Halloran and William Van Roo. At some point during the ritual, Halloran suffered a broken nose. Ultimately, it was announced by the priests that the exorcism was a success, and they had banished the demons from Roland's body, allowing the young boy to lead a normal life. So the story goes, Roland did go on to live his life. To craft his fictional narrative in the novel The Exorcist, William Peter Blatty delved into Bishop's journals and engaged in conversations with Bowden to capture the details of the exorcism. The rapid success and adaptation of Blatty's novel into a film have since solidified the popularity of both the book and the movie. It was this success that was a major factor in propelling exorcism ceremonies into the mainstream. There have been many investigations into the accounts surrounding Roland's exorcism. Some argue that the details and evidence are not conclusive enough, that there are major holes in scientific documentation, and some testimonies can't be trusted. Others argue that the whole incident was an agenda of propaganda from the Catholic Church. Then again, there are many who say that this case is true evidence of a successful exorcism, which also means true evidence of demonic presences on earth. Either way, there are many articles and theories that cover this fascinating story. Do you think this was real possession or perhaps something else? Let us know in the comments. Another famous exorcism was followed by media outlets in 1990 and 1991. In 1990, Reverend James LeBar oversaw 3 exorcisms. After much debate, all 3 were sanctioned by the Archbishop of New York, Cardinal John O'Connor, and the Vatican. One of them, the exorcism of a Florida teenager named Gina, was televised on the ABC network in 1991, which in itself raises huge ethical debates. An opinion on whether this should have ever been done is likely influenced by beliefs. If one shares the faith of the 2 Roman Catholic priests who believed they were driving sinister spirits from a clearly troubled girl named Gina, this could be viewed as a conflict between good and evil. Otherwise, it certainly feels like a throwback to a medieval attitude toward mental illness. This is another case that has a large amount of available documentation online, not to mention the video clips from ABC. The process itself involved the casting out of a spirit inhabiting a 16-year-old girl, identified only as Gina. The spirit itself was named Minga. The filming of the 6-hour process was done with the full consent of the Catholic Church, and the clergy involved 2 priests who had plenty of experience of the strange ritual. One priest went by the simple name Father A, while the other was Reverend James J. LeBar. He claimed to have conducted a 6-month investigation and concluded that Gina, who had a history of hospitalization for psychotic episodes, was possessed. Although not exactly mirroring The Exorcist, LeBar hinted that Gina might have levitated to the ceiling if not for being restrained. The episode on ABC became one of the show's most watched, unfolding as a disturbing experience. Gina exhibited growls, vehemently thrashed against her restraints, cursed the priests, and spoke in tongues. Father A and LeBar surmised that she was tormented not by a singular demonic force but by several. By the end, 2 of the entities, Zion and Minga, were cast out, and Gina appeared to experience relief. However, she was later rehospitalized and treated with antipsychotic medications instead of holy water. In the subsequent year, LeBar assumed the role of chief exorcist of the Archdiocese of New York. So supposedly the evil spirits were banished from Gina, and she too went on to live her life. Where she is today we don't know, but again it's a highly documented case. Have you heard of this one before, or perhaps remember it being aired? Let us know your thoughts below. So many suspected cases of possession and subsequent attempted exorcisms end in tragedy. We have covered some on the channel before. Such cases must be handled with care. The topic treads a fine line between belief, the supernatural, and possible mental illness. Whilst researching, we found a multitude of sad cases ending in death, often the result of makeshift exorcism practices not authorized by any church, and some that sadly were. Are these cases the dealings of evil spirits on earth, demons walking amongst us, or tragedy? Perhaps none or all of the above. Our next account follows Michael Taylor. Michael Taylor lived in Ossett, West Yorkshire, making a living as a butcher. In 1974, his wife Christine disclosed to a Christian fellowship group, of which Taylor was a member, that his connection with the lay leader, Marie Robinson, was of a carnal nature. In other words, she believed Michael could be having an affair with Marie, and she confronted Michael. Michael was a husband and father of 5. He had stated that his frequent bouts of depression seemed to ease in Marie's presence. In part, Michael believed it was due to Marie's ability to exorcise demons plaguing him. Michael Taylor admitted that he felt evil within him, like he was being tormented by demons. After Michael's wife confronted Michael about a possible affair with Marie Robinson, he physically attacked her while screaming profanities. This led to an actual exorcism by 2 ministers that took place on October 5, 1974. The exorcism unfolded on October 5-6, 1974, at St. Thomas's Church in Gorba, led by Father Peter Vincent, the Anglican priest of St. Thomas, with assistance from the Reverend Raymond Smith, a Methodist clergyman. According to folklore and occult expert Bill Ellis, the exorcists believed that during an exhaustive all-night ceremony, they had invoked and expelled around 40 demons, encompassing realms such as incest, bestiality, blasphemy, and lewdness. However, they sensed that 3 demons, insanity, murder, and violence, still lingered within Taylor as they concluded the ritual. Upon returning home, Taylor horrifically murdered his wife, Christine, resorting to brutal means. Using his bare hands, he gouged out her eyes and tongue, nearly tearing her face apart. In a shocking turn of violence, he also strangled their poodle. Discovered by a policeman, Taylor was found naked in the street, covered in blood. During his trial in March, Taylor was declared not guilty by reason of insanity. He spent 2 years at Broadmoor Hospital, followed by an additional 2 years in a secure ward in Bradford before being released. The peculiar and gruesome details of the case garnered significant media attention in the UK. Real demons, a failed exorcism, or a case of extreme mental illness? Some argue all 3 are true. Whatever the truth, this was an awful tragedy and a series of events we wish on nobody. The dark details of the case linger on, and it is hard to get away from the fact that it could all have been avoided. Our final account today comes from 1906 and concerns a 16-year-old woman called Clara Cely. It's said that she experienced possession during her teenage years at St. Michael's Mission in Natal, South Africa. An orphan of African descent, she had been baptized as an infant. At the age of 16, documents reported that she willingly entered into a pact with Satan, leading to her demonic possession. This revelation came to light when she confided in Father Herner Erasmus. According to an account by a nun, Clara displayed an ability to speak languages she had never been exposed to before. Witnesses attested that she could comprehend Polish, German, French, Norwegian, and various other languages. The nun also detailed Clara's clairvoyance, wherein she revealed intimate secrets of individuals with whom she had no direct contact. Clara exhibited an aversion to blessed objects and displayed exceptional strength, often violently throwing nuns around and engaging in physical altercations. Describing the girl's cries, the attending nun wrote, "No creature had ever produced such sounds, neither the lions of East Africa nor the enraged bulls. It sometimes resembled a genuine assembly of wild beasts orchestrated by Satan, forming a hellish choir." The girl, according to some documentation, was said to have levitated 5 feet in the air, sometimes vertically and sometimes horizontally, in front of 170 people. It is also said during the exorcism, when sprinkled with holy water, the girl's skin burned. Clara was also said to have knocked the Holy Bible from the priest's hands and grab his stole in an attempt to choke him with it. The exorcism in the end was deemed a success, and it's said the demons left her body, leaving a strange smell as they left. For 6 years, Clara lived a demonic, possession-free life. She felt ashamed for her behavior, asking for forgiveness while seeking humble pursuits. She died in 1912 from heart failure at age 22. However, history had lost track of and forgotten Clara in some versions of her story. So what can we make of the strange stories in front of us? Exorcisms are real practices. They occur relatively often, and the ceremonies continue today. But does this really mean the subject has been possessed by evil demons? Surely the very existence of exorcisms, by proxy, somehow displays that evil spirits must exist. And not only exist, roam amongst us, looking for their next victims. For all the questionable stories around exorcisms, there is always one that seemingly can't be easily explained, where multiple sources are available, and testimony states they really did witness demonic activity. What do you think of these stories? Do you really think that demons and devils roam our world? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching today. If you have enjoyed the content, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us to keep growing. Until next time, folks, whatever the truth is, perhaps keep a cross by your bedside, just in case. Good night.